GeorgeNotFound just responded to the entire situation and he might actually be innocent. From the allegations of him offering alcohol and trying to get a person under 21 drunk to the entire assault allegation. This response is making everyone doubt the legitimacy of the original claims made against GeorgeNotFound. Now for the few people who do not know what happened, here's a quick recap of the entire situation. There are allegations that have been made against GeorgeNotFound for allegedly doing something to a creator named Caitibugzz which they did not consent to. This all allegedly happened at a hotel at VidCon. Great recap, now let's get into the new stuff. Now GeorgeNotFound actually made his response in video format. So I've watched the entire video, I picked out the parts that I found interesting enough to show you guys and we're just gonna talk about it. Now George was accused of giving Caitibugzz alcohol when she was 18 years old trying to get her drunk. According to the accusations, he was aware of the fact that Caitibugzz was not 21 years old yet. Here is how George responded.
And also since Casey's stream, I've gone back and reviewed texts from the time, and there was actually a picture where it was shown that they had this 21 plus wristband on one of their wrists. So from my perspective, it's a bunch of 21 plus year olds hanging out. I have no reason to think otherwise, other than her Instagram bio, but I just didn't see it.
If you ask me, this is a pretty valid point. I don't think you can expect anybody to know your age because it is on your Instagram. Especially when you wear something around your wrist which says otherwise. Now, which I do want to point out is the fact that I can't see whether this is Caitibugzz. I see an arm, I see a wristband, but I can't actually see if this is Caitibugzz. Now, I do doubt this isn't Caitibugzz because if it isn't Caitibugzz, this would be very easy to disprove. But still, it's important to keep in the back of our minds. Oh yeah, and also at least George is giving actual proof. Caitibugzz just said the stuff without concrete proof. Also part of the allegation is that he allegedly was the one that wanted to play the drinking game. And as far as my understanding goes, according to the allegations, he was really pushing this idea that he wanted to play these games. And of course, George also responded to this.
Another thing that she talks about is how we insisted that she drinks more, and that we insisted on playing drinking games, when this isn't the case. Again, they had already been drinking at this party before they arrived to the hotel room, and they had also been the ones that were asking to play the drinking games. So instead of us insisting that we play it, they were actually the ones that were asking us. And you can see that in the screenshots here. They had actually texted multiple times, specifically wanting to play this drinking game that we had played the night before.
So according to George, instead of George being the one insisting to play the drinking games, Caitibugzz and her friends were actually the ones that came up with it. And he comes with receipts. And yes, I know that all the names are blurred and basically everything is blurred, but it is still more than Caitibugzz came with. Yes, it isn't rock solid evidence that it didn't happen, but neither is the rock solid evidence that it actually did happen. And I know a lot of people are gonna dislike me for saying this, but I believe in innocent till proven guilty. There needs to be at least 99% evidence pointing at the fact that someone actually did something before we can 100% accuse someone of doing something. Because even if GeorgeNotFound manages to debunk every claim that has been made, this entire situation is still gonna leave a permanent mark on GeorgeNotFound, his reputation. Now later George also responds to the entire phone game situation. How Caitibugzz claimed that she was trying to avoid an awkward situation by playing games on her phone.
Then it was just down to me, Dream, my online friend, Katie, Katie's best friend, and a sixth mutual friend. Next she says, this is a quote, resorted to playing games on her phone to avoid the awkward situation. Now, I just don't see how this is the case. She's implying that she is using her phone to essentially escape, such an awkward scenario that she's in, but that's just not how it happened, and this is why. She brought up the phone game as kind of a point. The game was honestly the central point of the interaction at this part of the night. It was a very social thing, she was passing the phone around, we were all playing the game and bantering about it, just having fun with the game. So I don't see how she resorted to it and was using it in that context.
Now this is one of those parts in the allegations where it's just gonna be he said, she said. It is possible that she didn't feel comfortable and that they just didn't see it. It's possible that they did see it, that they ignored it, or it's just possible that she wasn't uncomfortable at all. We can't know this because we were not there and there isn't any proof backing any statement of any of them up. And to be honest, I don't think that there is gonna be any proof for this specific point, because unless they find some secret recording of the moment, there isn't any way to prove this. Okay, so apparently I was fucking blind and there is some sort of proof for this. So apparently there have been some messages between what I'm guessing is Caitibugzz and George about them still trying to beat the high score they had on that specific game after they went away from the hotel. Again, is this concrete proof? No, it isn't, but it is something.
We were all actually sitting on the couch that was in the hotel room playing this game on her phone, and during this, me and Katie were at the far end of the couch and we were cuddling together. We had been cuddling for, I'd say, around an hour at this point, playing the game, talking, and just having fun. And for clarity, I had my hand around her waist above her clothes.
Now, why am I showing this clip? Because it's gonna be important later into the allegation response video. Again, this isn't concrete proof, but according to this part of the response, he was saying that they were both laying on the couch cuddling for at least an hour.
I also want to address a fact that she claimed that would confirm that I know her age. She said that she had answered a question about her age during a drinking game, and we were talking about sex, and that she admitted to everyone in the room that she was 18 and a virgin at the time. I just don't remember this happening. I'm not saying this to just pretend like it didn't happen. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I did not hear it happen. We're not just all sitting down and not moving. It's a, it's a chaotic environment. I could have been getting a drink. I could have been talking to someone else. I just did not know that was said.
And this is what I was talking about. It's again a he said, she said situation. There's not really a way to prove this, because unless you have a video of George having a physical response to hearing what you said, there is no way to prove that he actually heard it. Could he have been sitting in the same room with you? Could he have been sitting next to you? Yes, it still is possible that he just didn't hear what you said. There's also no way to prove that he didn't hear it. Now, what do I think? I don't think we can choose sides on this part of the entire allegation. Why? There is nothing more than a he said, she said situation. There's no concrete proof, at least available to the public, that says that one of them is right. And now we get to the big allegation.
So then, this is when her most important claim happens. I'm just going to read the quote. She says, "Out of nowhere, I felt him slip his hand under my clothes, sitting next to me on the couch, in front of everyone. He disguised it with a simple, 'Are you ticklish?' I coughed out a no, and still staring at my phone, I was overly aware of the fact that we were in front of other people. The fact that everyone else was sitting around us, watching us, including my best friend, and that his hand was inching further to places I hadn't asked it to be. Again, as I mentioned before, we had previously been cuddling on this couch for around an hour, but I did place my hand on her waist under her shirt. The way it's phrased makes it sound like it just happened out of nowhere, when in reality we'd been cuddling for over an hour at this point, and it was not out of nowhere. It was also around half an hour until I started moving my hand further up, and the way it's phrased just makes it seem like it happened pretty instantly and pretty quickly. There was nothing quick about it, it was very slow, and I was very cautious about it and making sure that she was comfortable throughout the process.
Now, either one of them is lying or there's just one massive misunderstanding. And you know what sucks about this entire situation? There's no way for us to know what's actually true. She's saying one thing, he's saying another thing, and there's no way we can actually find it out. And I know a lot of YouTubers are talking about, yeah, I think he's telling the truth. No, I think she's telling the truth. I'm not gonna do that because I think it's stupid. Why? Because there isn't any proof for any of this. The fact that someone looks like they're telling the truth can also just be that they're very good at lying. I think it would be very dumb to say now already who is in the right and who's in the wrong. Because again, and I have a feeling I'm repeating myself, but there is no proof. Now I do want to add, I'm talking about this specific part of the allegation. George has clearly showed some proof throughout his entire response, but it's just not for this specific part. I don't have a problem with people saying I believe George more because here is proof. But people who are talking about a specific point where there isn't any proof for it, you can't know that. We're going back to a smaller part of this allegation again. Now I can show a big part of the response again, and then give my opinion, but this again basically comes down to a he said, she said. George said that he was actually doing this, but that he thought she was fine with it. She said that she wasn't fine with it and that she clearly showed it. So it's again a he said, she said. I'm not gonna show an entire part of the response for that.
And it's at this time that Katie says that, this is a quote, "I went to leave and the older guy then decided to leave too." This is phrased in a way that makes me look kind of creepy, to be honest. She's basically saying she left, so I decided to leave too, which is not the case. What actually happened is Dream had decided he was too tired and was going to bed. So the night was over and we all left. She then goes on to tell a story about the elevator and how I joked about it being broken to try to get her to go in with me. So Katie actually had her own hotel room on the same floor as Dream. So she actually didn't have to take the elevator. She walked me to the elevator when she didn't have to and said goodnight to me, which was nice of her. I did joke with her about coming in the elevator by pretending that it was broken. I went into the elevator, the doors closed, and I would press the doors open button to make it open again. I did this a few times, and she didn't go along with it, which I respectfully took, obviously, and ended up just going down to my room. Yeah.
Now, one thing that I do notice about this entire situation is that's always about a few little details. For the most part, George actually admits that it actually happened, but he said that the little details that make it so weird are wrong. According to George's story, it looks more like a playful situation where everyone was just consenting to everything that happened. And according to Caitibugzz, it was exactly the opposite. Now, what is my conclusion? I think that there is no conclusive evidence for both sides. We don't know whether George is actually guilty, and we can't say if this actually happened to Caitibugzz. Yes, there are small parts of evidence, but you can't say one is completely right or one is completely wrong. From where I stand, I think that George made a pretty good response video, and because of this, we can't be sure that it actually happened. Because if he didn't show any proof against it, it would be way more believable to believe Caitibugzz. Not 100% though, because she didn't show that much proof either. But anyways, hope you have a good day. Peace, peace.